Wallace and Gromit started all the way back in 1989 with A Grand Day Out. This seemed to be an evolutionary way of making animated movies and seemed to break the doors down in this kind of animation world. But the question is this the best Wallace and Gromit film ever made? But before we get on to that, we need to go over why this movie is so underrated and so revolutionary in the world of animation. Because I'm going to be honest with you, Wallace and Gromit is a very simple sort of film. It doesn't ask for much. 2 characters, 1 voiceover, and it carries it through magic and the story of the fact that the moon is made out of cheese, which could be where that rumour started. Not sure. But it's literally just about them running out of cheese, building a spaceship, going to the moon, collecting cheese, coming back home, day's done. There was a magic in that, there was nostalgia in that. I think that's the enjoyable part of it. You can get lost in that. And it's not too long of a film neither. I think they had such a low budget, and even though this was the best that they could create at the time, it's still better than half of the Disney movies you see now with hundreds of millions of budget. How did they manage to create that? I just think it was through the idea of working with a confined budget where magic really starts to work. Because look at Deadpool, for instance. Deadpool 2, people raved about that at the time, but in my opinion, Deadpool 2 is nowhere near as good as Deadpool 1, which had a confined budget and less big names and things like that, because they had to work with what they had to work with and try to squeeze every drop out of whatever they'd try to create in that picture. Whereas in Deadpool 2, more budget, they were wasting it on things that they may not have needed, and with a confined budget, maybe then that's where you can birth that magic that you're looking for. And that's what they did with Wallace and Gromit Grand Day Out. And this franchise would grow and grow and grow on the back of this film. The first film, the quality of it, looking in 2026, is not the best. But the story still stands as a cult classic and as a stapleton in British culture. To me as well, this puts itself in the argument for greatest episode of film of Wallace and Gromit of all time. But is it the best? No. I'll tell you why. It's in the conversation because of the low budget and simply for the fact that they had only 2 characters, 1 voice, and the later ones get a lot more characters, a lot more talking, a lot more story, a lot deeper stuff happening within those later films, which are levels above what is in this film. But this is in that conversation because without this film, there would be no other Wallace and Gromit films. There might have not been a Aardman pictures that we know today. There might have not been as many stop motion pictures, films being made. And you don't know what an impact that Wallace and Gromit had on the future of that industry. This film belongs in that conversation because it really did kick that door down in a massive way. But do let us know down in those comments down below. Do you enjoy Wallace and Gromit Grand Day Out? Is this your favourite, or is there another film / episode that you think is better than this one? Let me know all that down in those comments down below. To summarise, I believe this is an 8.1 out of 10 and a classic film. Let me know your thoughts down in those comments down below. And if you haven't yet seen our last movie review, then you definitely need to check that out right now by clicking on screen or hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you fine folks in the next one. Laters.